Welcome back to the corner, everyone. I am the DM as always, and today I want to look at some more videos from Sungrand Studios. Now, I have a video covering one of their earlier videos, not necessarily rejoicing at the fall of Concord, but celebrating the unity of gamers, which uh, came about that uh, is effectively the reason why Concord was shut down and exterminated. But I've been watching a few more of their videos. I've been subscribed to them pretty much ever since that video. And there are two videos that I want to do today, that I want to look at, rather, with all of you. And this is the first one. Let's learn from Ubisoft's failures, Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws. Now, before we begin, I haven't watched this video at all. However, from my perspective, as just a junior game developer, right? I'm no one big, important, or anything like that. Um, what I learned personally from Shadows and Outlaws is that Ubisoft is very much kind of clinging onto, and I'm actually going to move this and then just adjust my camera. Um, Ubisoft is kind of leaning into the DEI culture and DEI phenomena that we've been seeing. And it's not necessarily anything that is new or surprising with Ubisoft or any of these big AAA companies, because these companies are all about inclusivity now. Now they're all about inclusivity. They weren't before, but now they are. Um, and that's what I learned from it. I also learned that gamers really, really, really hate the term DEI and this notion that it has to be included in every single game. Um, what else I learned from Shadows is that big AAA companies, are willing to lie, just outright lie, about historical characters and the accuracy of history for their own end. Now, they've always said that Assassin's Creed is not meant to be like historical or anything, and but I don't necessarily believe that, because a lot of the times they have historically accurate moments in a lot of these games, and you are just kind of there as a viewer, right? They have a lot of historical characters, and typically those historical characters are effectively the exact same as history, as their historical representation. Um, what I learned from Outlaws is that Ubisoft no longer knows how to make games. That's what I learned from Outlaws. Outlaws is absolute dog shit. It has almost no actual good gameplay. And of the gameplay that does exist, 99% of it is just trash and literally put me to sleep at one point. I was watching a live stream from someone who has never put me to sleep before, and I fell asleep about an hour into their live stream because the gameplay was just that boring. They weren't boring at all. They were laughing, they were making fun of the game the entire time, but the gameplay was so fucking boring that it put me to sleep. So yeah. So let's go ahead and get into this now that I've ranted for about 4 minutes about what I've learned. So, and let's learn from industry experts.
Thank you for joining me. Today, I will address game developers and publishers all around the world. First, I would like to share advice that has served me well working in professional environments. A wise man learns from his mistakes, and an even wiser man learns from other people's mistakes.
Yes.
Today, I will explain the failures of Ubisoft, explain what other developers and publishers can learn to avoid becoming the same kind of failure, and lastly, my personal apology. This video will offer critical comment on the state of Ubisoft and its
Hmm.
developers. Please wait until the end of the video so I can share my formal apology.
So I just want to pause here real quick. If you're new to the channel, I do this a lot when I'm watching other videos and making reactions or responses to them. Um, So he said at the beginning that a wise man learns from his mistakes and a wiser man learns from others' mistakes. The reason why this is so true, especially in video games and whatnot, is because as a game developer, you're not going to be put into every single situation. So the best way to learn, and this applies to all aspects of life, mind you, not just game development, but the best way to learn is to look at the failures that other people are making so that you do not make those same failures, those same mistakes. Because if you make those same mistakes, people are going to look at you and be like, why didn't you learn from them? They already made these mistakes, right? And it's not just learning from mistakes. You should also learn from others' success and learn from your own success as well. And that's also an aspect of what makes you wise and what makes you even wiser than someone who is wise. Is a wise man not only learns from his own mistakes and his own successes, but he learns from the successes and failures of other people as well. So that way they can emulate that success and ensure that you do not emulate their failures.
It has been revealed recently that for game development, Ubisoft hired diversity activists as consultants with a focus on challenging moral standards. Ubisoft is offering mentorship programs while excluding individuals based on their gender. I ask you, what is fun about challenging moral standards?
Which, by the way, uh, refusing to hire someone based off of things like skin color, gender identity, sexual your whatever sex you were born as, discriminating like this here in the United States is illegal. It's flat out illegal. You're not allowed to do that. That's been federally outlawed for a very long time.
How does that translate into a good gaming experience?
It doesn't,
Star
by the
Wars
way.
Outlaws from Ubisoft has launched as an abject, catastrophic failure. Even the most basic mechanical aspects of the product are incompetently implemented. One might wonder how a company with millions of dollars of funding
That's
can
funny.
produce something lacking in even the most basic level of competence. We are no longer living in an era where multi-million dollar companies hold all the power. The everyday gamer now has the power to rise up against tyrants and incompetence. Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed
What did I say? What did I say that I learned from Star Wars Outlaws? That Ubisoft doesn't know how to make games anymore. And here we go, an industry expert validating exactly what I learned from it. So to all you out there trying to say that I don't know what I'm talking about, I know what I'm talking about.
Shadows will fail on launch.
Yes.
The entirety of the gaming industry has indicated that there is absolutely no confidence in Ubisoft to produce a competent product.
Yep.
So let's see what we can learn from Ubisoft's failures.
And by the way, the reason why Assassin's Creed Shadow is going to fail on launch is because the entire reason, and this is 100% factual, the entire reason that there is a black samurai who wasn't a samurai, by the way, the entire reason he is even the main character for the male part is because of DEI. The entire reason that they have a female protagonist at all is because of DEI. Now, this isn't anything new for Ubisoft in that like having a male and female protagonist. They did this shit with I can't remember what the fuck the Assassin's Creed game. It was the one that took place in Britain, in London. Um, but that game is actually really good because, and the reason why it's really good is because the focus of the development wasn't on ensuring that they filled a DEI quota. They just made a really good fucking game and then added both a male and female protagonist. That way, if you wanted to play as a female, you could, and if you want to play as a male, you could. They played slightly differently, but overall, you could still easily beat the entire game as either of them. That was why they existed. Was so that if you wanted to be a woman, you could. If you wanted to be a man, you could. They didn't care outside of that. It had no impact on the story.
Instead of hiring game developers, artists, and writers who have natural talent and skill that has been refined and cultivated from years of hard work, companies are funding and hiring based on skin color and sexual identity and politics.
which
These
is
are the
illegal,
people
by the
who
way,
made
here
Star
in the
Wars
U.S.
Outlaws. These are the people who made Assassin's Creed Shadows. Companies do not make video games. Money does not make video games.
No,
People make video games. Awful people make awful video games. And awful video games will not earn your company meaningful revenue. Ubisoft has totally missed the mark by claiming they are delivering an accurate representation of Japanese history and culture.
and
They
they aren't.
spit in the face of Japan as a country and as people.
And this is entirely true. Most, like 99% of the backlash that they got when they revealed Assassin's Creed Shadows was from Japanese players. By the way, a lot of people like to try and think that like Americans were the ones that were like the majority. No, you're a fucking retard. The ones that were actually angry about this and the ones that were voicing their discontent with it were Japanese players. If you went to the Japanese side of Twitter, all of the gamers there were blasting Ubisoft for having a black fucking samurai. Like, here's the thing. Even if Yasuke was a samurai, doesn't fucking matter. If you want to use a samurai, you do a Japanese person. Full stop. It is the Japanese culture. Samurais are Japanese culture. Okay? They're not American culture. They're not British culture. They're not Indian culture. They're not Chinese culture. No. It is Japanese culture. Okay? And so, no matter what you want to try and fucking say, no matter what your fucking defense is, they are lambasting Japanese culture by using a black man for it. Full stop. And not only that, but a black man that was never a fucking samurai. He was a retainer. That's it. He was never elevated to the position of samurai, which, yes, was more than just a fucking word. It was a profession. It was a lifestyle.
Ubisoft is using Japan as fodder for diversity checklists to pander to an audience they have imagined because they have a narrow perspective of the world and are blinded by their own self-importance and ego.
Yes. They are not making games for gamers. They're making games for DEI consultants. And DEI consultants are not gamers. Even if they play games, doesn't matter. They're not gamers.
These people are not capable of accepting that they can be wrong about anything. They will be unable to improve as artists and developers. So, Lesson 1. Hire based on talent and skill. Hire well-adjusted adults who have some perspective of the world. If someone mentions their pronouns or sexual identity as one of their defining traits, then this person very likely has no other defining traits and has very little of value to offer in a creative or professional environment. Lesson 2. Using diversity consultants will not make a product better. The gaming audience will identify the red flags of superficial diversity consultants, and they will understand when a product is not created in good faith. Using diversity consultants will cause a product to fail, as we are seeing time and time again across a range of entertainment mediums. Lesson 3. Do not let your development team members perform PR duties and damage control. These people will cause more harm than good. Rely on experienced, trained PR managers to perform these duties. We have largely failed this generation of game developers. It will take hard work, and we will have to work together. But we can make the next generation of developers into the strongest and most creatively capable we have ever seen. We can foster the next generation of developers by sharing our knowledge and experience, by explaining the values of design philosophy that matter, and by explaining the failures of this generation. Lastly, my apology. To the people of the development teams of games like Assassin's Creed Shadows and other similar games that have launched recently, to the diversity consultants who advise major companies on how to write their stories and focus on identity politics, I worked closely with some of the leaders of the generation that came before me. It was the generation who came before me who was responsible for ensuring that all of you would be able to grow up into well-adjusted, intelligent, and well-informed adults with at least some perspective of the real world. It was our responsibility to ensure that you grew up into decent human beings. And I see now that we have failed you on every single level possible. And for that, I apologize. I won't be able to help you, as it is too late. But I will work hard every day to ensure that the next generation of young people does not have to grow up into failures like you. Thank you.
I agree with everything that he said. So I'm not gonna go too much longer because this video is already getting kind of long, and a lot of my videos are pretty long. But so what we need to do, as not just gamers, but as game developers, right, is we need to start thinking more about what is actually important in a video game. Um, the number one aspect that is the most important thing in a video game is to make a good video game. That's the first and foremost thing that needs to be done. Because without a formal video game, without a or sorry, not formal, without a good video game experience, the entire game just will fail. You can have an amazing story, but if the gameplay itself is shit, no one's gonna stay to listen to your story, right? Um, the second most important thing that we need to remember as gamers and game developers is that both gameplay and character design are intertwined. You can have amazing character design, but if the gameplay is shit, no one's going to play it. You can have amazing gameplay, but if the character design is shit, no one's going to play it. Additionally, if you have terrible gameplay or terrible character design, more likely than not, especially nowadays, your game is going to be shit. And either if you have either one, the other one is going to suffer as a result. And the reason why the other one is going to suffer is because you are focusing too much on an area of game and an area of development that no one in the gaming space actually cares about. These companies, especially, don't actually care about diversity, they don't care about equality, and they don't care about inclusion. That's not what they do. They are a business. They care about money. That's what they care about. So, if you want to make your voice heard, if you want them to stop this kind of thing, we need to actually remember these things. And when something like this happens, when we have situations like Concord, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Star Wars Outlaws, we need to make sure that we voice our criticism and voice our dissatisfaction with these games. Because if we don't and these games just crash and burn, then nothing is going to happen, nothing is going to change, and they're just going to keep repeating and keep recreating the same slop that they've always been, or not always, but that they've been making for the longest time now. So, yeah. That's my thoughts. Those are my opinions. Thank you all for coming into my corner. That's all I have today. I am the DM. If you like the video, hit the like button, hit subscribe. If you don't like the video, hit the dislike button, leave a comment, let me know why, and I will see you all later.